Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. This is Nona from The Alliance Lover. I finally have the romantic body type suggestions for gym wear, and I totally forgot that I had left this out, so thank you to whoever reminded me. I don't want to leave any of the body types out. I love them all equally. They're all equally wonderful and beautiful, so I'm glad that this has been made, and I do plan on making more style videos. I know I haven't made too many recently, but I will be going back to making more of this content as well. So before we get into the actual recommendations, again, I just want to say that the body types are meant to inspire you to think certain ways, to see your body through certain proportions, and there's no clear set of rules for how to dress. All of the lines that I talk about are general lines, and you really have to focus on what lines work for you. Romantics, people of the same body type, have very different bodies, so forget this whole idea or rule of a set list of lines you have to look at in to be a romantic. What works for one romantic might not work for the other, and that's where the beauty of being a unique individual lies. So you still have to think about what actually looks good on you and what you personally feel great in and what you want to highlight and emphasize in your body. So it's always a mix of being objective and subjective. So let's get into some examples of women with this body type first. So our first quick example is Emilia Clarke. She is very petite and very round. So some romantics are a little bit taller and a little more sharp looking, and some look very, very round overall. And this can also depend on weight gain and muscle tone. Different workouts, different lifestyles can really alter your body and bring out different dominant aspects of your body. So keep that in mind when you study the styles of different celebrities. Make sure you're factoring in if they're at their lightest, at a heavier weight. Maybe they put on more muscle in certain parts of their bodies. Yes, you will still be the same body type no matter what, but that doesn't mean that when you are 30 pounds heavier with 20 pounds more muscle, you will look equally good in a certain dress as you would at a much lighter and higher body fat. So our next mini example is Drew Barrymore. Again, I'm just putting up these examples at the start so you can get an idea of what a few romantic body types look like, and you can imagine these different garments on them. Drew Barrymore, a lot taller than Emilia Clarke. When she's very light, she looks sharper than Emilia Clarke. Her bone structure is wider. Her corners are a little bit more exaggerated than Emilia Clarke's. Emilia is like, I think, 5 feet tall. She's very, very petite. So that being said, they're still both in the romantic family due to all of the softness, the yin, and the smoothness that dominates their body. Another example is Leighton Easter, and I chose photos of her at very different weights so you can get an idea of how romantics look at, their curviest versus when they are really, really light, and you might not think they're super obviously a yin dominant person. So in the middle, she's obviously much more soft, more yin dominant, more round, curvaceous and smooth, and softly wide throughout the chest, the waist, and the hips, as opposed to when she was very, very lean and light. She looked a little more angular, especially in different poses, a lot more lengthy. And that's the beauty of, fluctuating. You can dress in different ways to dress your different fluctuations. And finally, we have Beyonce, again at different weights. Women's weight fluctuates a lot, and as you age, if you have children, your body's going to change. Even if you change your diet and do a completely different workout routine for even half a year, your body might change so much. So always keep that in mind. And I say this so that you're not trapping yourself in rules that don't really exist. There's no set rule of romantic lines. There's only your lines for the body that you are currently dressing and accommodating. Okay, so now that we've gone over a few quick examples of some women who you can imagine wearing some of these items, let's get into the actual garments for romantics. They have such a lovely, softly wide chest, and to really emphasize that, a little more definition around their small neck and the span of their shoulders is a great way to frame their upper body. Romantics often have a challenge where they might dress a little bit too rigid or tight or constraining on the upper body so as not to look immodest or for more actual physical support. And what can happen is that they totally drown their curves. They dilute their curves in very straight, linear, and angular shapes. So to strike a balance between the very tight, kind of flattening clothing and something that's a little too loose that you're going to look like you're wearing a bag in. You want to strategically use really high definition shapes, very shapely kinds of necklines. Be very cognizant of the straps, the kind of shapes that the straps and the neckline create on the upper body. And since this is workout wear, do a lot of sleeveless. So these really narrow halter tops, crisscross tops are great ways to, one, provide a little coverage so that you're not wearing super low scoop necks if you're very busty, and to bring a little bit more visual weight upwards so not everything is being pulled down. You get more attention upwards to your face. Here are some more examples of shoulder and chest emphasis. Even if you don't have a lot of cleavage or very big breasts as a romantic, these should still look pretty cute on you as long as it's proportional to your body. So if you're really tiny, probably skip this middle one where the cups are quite large, the neckline is quite plunging. Make sure that you're accommodating your actual size and not just a shape, because a shape on one size is not going to look the same on someone half of that original size. So sometimes it's better to find something that fits you well and might not be the conceptually ideal line, because that's going to be better than having a potentially perfect neckline that doesn't actually suit your physical size. And I see this a lot in my clients. They have the right concepts in mind, but they end up buying clothes that are just too big for them. They're built for women who are probably half a foot taller than they are. So if you have to look in the petite section, go ahead, do that, because a lot of the mainstream clothes, the mainstream brands, are made for a woman that is a little more moderate in height. So if you're 5 feet tall, things will probably not fit correctly. So here is one more slide on shoulder and chest emphasis. There's so many different neckline shapes that you can choose, so long as there is some clarity there and it's not just dragging the body down, dragging the eye down. You want to frame your chest and your neck and your face, and this is a great way to do it. All right, so going off of that, fitted tanks with a shapely neckline. So if you don't like crop tops, if you don't want to wear sports bras, just find tank tops with a good amount of shape to them. Fitted, ideally, because a lot of the tank tops that are loose and in the athletic kind of material tend to take on a rectangular shape or this kind of slight angling out shape, and that is not going to accommodate soft curves. It's going to try to impose this kind of like boxy look upon your torso, which is probably what you don't want to do. Now, if you choose tank tops that are softer, a softer material, you have a little bit more freedom in terms of how loose you want to take it. So these two are good examples. The one on the left is obviously much tighter, more fitted, but the one on the right has a little bit more roominess, more space, but you can still see that the garment is cut and sewn in a more curve accommodating manner, and they're softer again, so they'll drape a little bit more closely to the body, unlike the previous material. It's kind of like swimsuit material that tends to fall in a more boxy or angular way on the body. So I always like to add some layering options, and honestly the best layering option for romantics is a really cute off-the-shoulder sweatshirts. We often wear sweatshirts so much in just like regular day-to-day outfits that we forget that they were originally made for like athletic activities. Sweatshirts, people would wear them to warm up, to sweat, to stay warm, so that they don't have to like warm up again in between sets or games when they're on the bench. So these are really cute for the romantic, just having like one little shoulder and your little sports bra or tank top strap kind of poking out, making cute little shapes on your upper body, especially if you're wearing like a high-waisted pair of leggings. It just creates a really cute, soft, drapey shape. Of course, you want to pick a sweatshirt with a little more softness to it. Don't pick a sweatshirt that's really stiff and boxy with a super thick and narrow bottom waistband that kind of forces the middle of the sweatshirt to balloon out. You want it to, again, trail closer to your body and to your curves. Okay, so for pants, I honestly think that romantics look best in capri pants. Romantics are a little more curvy and a little more petite, so you want to keep the visual weight balanced and a little higher up on the body, because what happens is when you're really curvy and shorter and you wear those really long workout leggings, you get so much contrast between the width of your hips and then your legs and then your ankles, which are probably quite small, that very yin body structure, like tiny ankles. And instead of looking at your overall curves, what happens is that the little tiny ankle kind of contrast takes over, and then people only look at the difference in kind of diameter or the curve between your hip and your knees and then your ankles. And again, that's just a lot of visual weight going downwards. So when you choose capris that end higher up on the body, it keeps the visual way more centered where your curves actually are. And lastly, I like to add in some cute tennis dresses. So here are some with really nicely defined necklines, cute straps, a nice fit across the waist and through the hips. It doesn't have to be super tight like a bandage dress. This is for working out after all, but this kind of thinner material that hugs the hips is generally a lot more flattering than a very voluminous pleated skirt that you see in a lot of tennis dresses. So that is it for my romantic suggestion. This is not an fully exhaustive list, of course. This is supposed to get you thinking about what you want to accommodate in your body and garments that will probably help you do that. Again, you're unique, you're an individual, and I just don't want to give off this idea that you have to look good in all of these because you're a romantic. You don't. Clothing can look good on so many different shapes. It's all about the strategy behind why you're wearing certain clothes. So the more thoughtful you are of that, the more successful you are in being satisfied with your purchases, and then you wear your clothes much more, you're happier with them. You don't need to buy as many clothes. So it kind of helps save the environment from constant fast fashion. When you find clothes that you really love, you just wear them. So that was it for this video. I wish you all the luck in finding clothes you love so that you can feel really satisfied with your wardrobe, the way you look in your clothing as an extension of yourself, and hopefully save a bunch of money and time and space because you know what works for you. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.